Warning. This video blog or vlog may contain harsh language and opinions that are not necessarily in line with YouTube or its partners or affiliates. YouTube does not openly endorse the content of this vlog. All opinions are expressly those of Ranting Ramsay and do not reflect on the opinions or values of YouTube, its affiliates, or its parent or partner companies.
Greetings, Internet people. How are you all doing today? I wasn't doing too badly until a watcher of mine sent me a rant request with a video link from here on YouTube that really just kind of made me... I can't even really describe the feelings that it invoked in me, because there was just so much that went on in the first 3.5 minutes of this video that I just couldn't take it. He linked the watcher in question here is a YouTube user by the name of Dalen 61991, and he sent me a video link to a video here on YouTube that I just really needed to address, because it was one of the most ignorant, retarded, stupid, uneducated, just ridiculous things that I've seen in a very long time. And I'm anticipating this video actually being somewhat lengthy, so I'm going to try to just skip the rhetoric and get right into it. The video that the requester linked me to will be linked in the description, and I encourage some of you to go and watch it as long as you possibly can, because I can only make it through 3.5 minutes. But in 3.5 minutes, I gained more than enough material to make this a substantial video. And we'll get into more of that at the end of the list of things that I have noted here to talk about. And the topic of the video that was linked to me, I can't remember the exact title, is basically that all gun owners are murderers. Now, I know I've never really weighed in on this particular point in any of my previous videos, but the basic short and skinny of my stance on gun ownership is I have no problem with gun ownership whatsoever. I don't necessarily think that the common citizenry has the right or the need to use like automatic assault rifles or submachine guns or stuff like that, but rifles, pistols, shotguns, single-fire rifles, stuff like that, I don't really see any problem with. In fact, I actually enjoy firearms myself. I am an avid pursuer of marksmanship, and I find the whole thing to be something I get into. So, but we're going to go ahead and start addressing the points that are made in this other video. Because, like I said, the shit that this guy said was just so absolutely asinine that I had to address at least the points he makes in the first 3.5 minutes of his video. So going right into it, the first basic point that he makes was that all gun owners are premeditated murderers just waiting to happen. There is so much wrong with that statement that I can't even really begin to dissect it. There's just so much that flies around in my head when I hear that statement about why it's wrong that I just can't even really begin to break it down. So I'm going to kind of just go ahead and glaze over to the next thing I have, which is he begins with a basic blanket statement backed up with no facts whatsoever and acts like he knows exactly what is going through the minds of every gun owner. And I'm going to say that the parts of the video that I watched seem to be just absolutely saturated with this basic viewpoint. That he seems to think that he knows exactly what's going on in the mind of every single gun owner in the country, even though he later contradicts himself, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And that's just absolutely ridiculous that he can seem to assume that he knows what's going on in the mind of every gun owner in the country, which is just retarded. So we're moving on to false statement number 2 in the video, direct quote being, most gun owners get their gun after they were robbed, shot, or raped. He makes that exact statement. Well, I have never been robbed, shot, or raped, and I own a gun. And I know that's like a small percentage, that 1%. That one person doesn't negate the fact or whatever that this asinine fool mentioned, I can then support that statement by saying I know many other gun owners who have also never been robbed, shot, or raped at all, ever. So his statement that most gun owners get their gun after they were robbed, shot, or raped is absolutely foolish, silly, inaccurate, and, my favorite word, asinine. He goes on to try to support this point by saying that gun owners are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, and then further speculates on their supposed motivation for buying a gun, and then suggests that these guns were purchased for vengeance purposes. Well, I couldn't really let that sit, and I decided to do a little research, and if such were indeed true, the news would be completely and totally inundated with reports of revenge killings as a quick search turned up that on average in the United States 1.3 women are raped every minute. 1 person in the US is robbed per minute, according to the statistics that I dug up. On average, there is a firearm death in the US every 17 minutes. These numbers do not support the unwarranted conclusion that he draws. The conclusion that he draws, to kind of summarize, is that because people are raped or robbed or whatever, that they go out and get a gun to seek revenge. If this were true, a logical mind would think that the statistics for gun deaths and rape and robbery would be relatively close to the same, but they are not. But then, shortly thereafter, in his video, we find out where he makes this conclusion, or from where he makes this conclusion, as he tells us that after he was robbed, he wanted to get a gun and hunt down the person who robbed him. We can thusly see that he makes the assumption that because he had this momentary response, that all people must have this response, and most of them obviously must give in to it. That is called a false assumption. Just because you felt that way doesn't mean every single human on the face of the planet feels that way when such happens to them. We are all different people with different personalities and different feelings. So just because you felt that way, sir, does not mean that every single other person who experiences this unfortunateness in their life feels the same way about it, which you do, or did. It's inescapable. The facts, the numbers are inescapable. You are wrong, Timothy. Wrong. Period. And the next point doesn't really touch on gun control, but we've given a bit of insight into the way in which he was raised. We have given a bit of insight into the way in which he was raised and his prejudgmental capacity when he says, and I fucking quote, "Every black man looks the same to me." Yes, that is a direct quote from his video. Every black man looks the same to Timothy. I don't even really have to say anything about that. That statement itself speaks for his level of ignorance and uneducation and outright upbringing of racially motivated thinking. Period. There's no anything else that I have to say about that. It's completely done. So moving on to false statement number 3 that he makes in the first few minutes of his video. Quote, "The minute a gun owner purchased a lethal weapon, they have the intent to kill someone." This, obviously, is also false. I purchased my pistol because I feel firearms are fascinating machines and enjoy the hobby of marksmanship. I shoot targets. That's the total intent behind purchasing my firearm, was to shoot at targets. Paper fucking targets. That's why I bought my gun, to shoot pieces of paper, because I enjoy the practice of the skill involved to do it well. Yes, you do buy a gun for target practice if you enjoy the sport of marksmanship, Timothy. Your ignorance does not deny that fact. But that brings up another point. A kitchen knife is also a lethal weapon. I can very easily kill someone with a knife very, very quickly. So, by his logic, anyone who buys a knife is intending to kill someone because a knife is a lethal fucking weapon. Or the fact that Also, a hammer is a lethal fucking weapon when applied correctly. Anyone who buys a hammer is obviously intending to kill someone, apparently, by this person's logic. Yes, any of these objects, guns, knives, hammers, crowbars, even a fucking toothpick, can be used to kill someone if applied correctly. Is that the intent behind purchasing any of these named items? Obviously not, unless the purchaser is psychotic. He then makes a wonderful twist of logic, saying that if we find someone shot dead, then we know that it was a gun owner, and so all gun owners are suspect. He doesn't acknowledge the idea of gun registration or the fact that no two guns, like fingerprints, leave the same forensic evidence behind. Each gun has a fingerprint, and comparative analysis can easily eliminate any gun from suspicion with a simple fucking test. False point number 4 that he presents seems to assume that security cameras stop crime. This has proven time and time again to be false, because all a security camera does is record the crime. Look on the news at all the security camera footage of robberies. Did that camera stop the robbery? Obviously not. All it did was record it. Now, sure, there may be a very small percentage of criminals who walk into an establishment, see a security camera, and decide not to, but most people who are determined to engage in this sort of crime of a robbery or something, one security camera is not going to deter them. In fact, they may take measures against that security camera if they know it's there. Security camera does nothing to prevent. It simply records. That's all it does. That point, blown out of the fucking water. So this is the last point that I'm going to bring up, and it was the worst one yet. Now, I mention it now that he brings this one up only 3 minutes and 30 seconds into a 13-minute video. But this whole point, in my opinion, negates any reason to watch further, because he proves a few different things with this quote. And he said, and I quote, "Over 100,000 guns a year are stolen from legal, law-abiding gun owners." So, wait, did you mean legal, law-abiding, premeditated murderers to be who are gun owners? Is that what you meant to say? Because otherwise, if you didn't say exactly that, you are contradicting the living shit out of yourself. No mystery, no possible way to negate that statement. You are contradicting the living shit out of yourself. Legal, law-abiding gun owners? Does this fool even realize the self-contradiction he just presented when presenting the first 3 minutes of his fucking video? This is absolutely asinine. This motherfucker is a fool. It's just ridiculous. I mean, as I've alluded to earlier, I couldn't even watch the video further at this point because of a number of reasons. I couldn't stand further ignorance, the self-contradiction, and then the thought also creeped into my mind that perhaps, just maybe, this was supposed to be satire, and that this person actually supports gun ownership and is making a fallacious video about the points detractors of gun ownership bring up. In this case, it's a fairly masterfully done video. But from the fact that he has both disabled ratings and comments on the video in question indicates to me that he has very much indeed serious, but knows just exactly how vapid his points and arguments are. On a side note, well, not even really a side note, looking at this guy's channel provides a bit of indication as to why he is so misguided and hateful towards the things he obviously does not understand, and supports the fact that the video linked in the description by him is not satire. He genuinely, honestly feels this way. It is the biggest, most shining example I can see of misguided ignorance and a lack of understanding of facts, coupled with an absolute, almost fundamentalist following of the religion of Christianity, or a version of the religion of Christianity, that just presents, it just makes this guy completely and totally just ridiculous is the best word I can think of. The points he tries to make in this video are so absolutely foolish on any level that it just can't be denied. And I felt the need to respond almost instantly the minute that I was given this link, that I watched as much of this video as I could tolerate, and decided that there was no way I could not speak about, or cannot not speak out about this. So, there you go, there you have it. If you can get through all 13 minutes of this asshole's video, then I applaud you. Because I could only get through 3.5 minutes before I realized that he was nothing but a vapid, uneducated, foolish man, completely and totally absorbed by the trappings, and the negative trappings of religion, specifically. So, there you go, there you have it. If you decide to torture yourself by watching this person's video, then I apologize for giving you the link for it. But yeah, there you go, there you have it. This whole video that I'm commenting on here is just simply asinine. It is at no point supported by fact or research or any sort of logical thinking. It is this person's feelings bolstered by his religion, supported by no fact whatsoever. Absolute fucking bullshit. I'm RantingRamsay. That is all.
Hey, did you get all that, man?
Douche.